human love among all of us, as we perhaps in our personal lives have set forth many resolutions for a new year. Let us be resolved that as a community we will seek to obey your highest call, to love God and to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. In that regard, we ask you to guide us in the decisions of this council and of our community, that we live to those high ideals, that we love one another, and we particularly listen to each other, and we particularly give voice to those who have no voice, and seek to care for those who cannot care for themselves. Guide us, Lord, empower us, be your people in this place. Bless our city and all who come to this town. In Christ's name, amen.
Councilman Jasper will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. You may be seated. The first item on the agenda, we have no public hearing. The items for consideration is an action regarding a request by the owner agent, which is James Cowles, owns the property situated in the city of Alstyne, county of Grayson, state of Texas, being described as part of the Ashland McKinney survey, abstract number 851, and be a part of the same tract of land described as 2,000 acres conveyed by Charles Reed Bell to Sam Edmonds by deeds dated May the 4th, 1984, and recorded in volume 1702, page 525 of the deed records of Grayson County, Texas, more commonly known as 463 Ballard Road, for a variance to the comprehensive zoning regulations, section 8.4 height and area regulations, appendix 1 setback and coverage regulations. The owner agent is requesting the variance to reduce the percentage of masonry required and the side yard setback regulations for the property, which is currently zoned ag. This is unusual in that we have had this first came before the council in November. At that time, when you have this, and it is the zoning board of adjustment, you must have 4 votes for it to pass. It is not a majority rule thing. We had a public hearing on that, and if you looked at your minutes from November the 11th, he stated that the setback variance is because the lot is narrow and does not allow for a home to be placed with more than a 30-foot setback on either side. And then we went on to, there was a discussion by the council, and Billy Floyd expressed no issue with the variance to the setback requirements, but did not feel the hardship requirement was met in regards to the Mason variance. Larry Cooper advised that interspersed down Ballard Road, many homes are lacking masonry, and expressed the opinion that the planned hardy board will complement the neighborhood. The fire safety was introduced as the use of hardy board, to which Frank Baker answered that hardy board, fire resistant in comparison to vinyl siding. However, Ripperstone has a greater resistance. And Councilman Kelly asked if the masonry requirement was included in the zoning standard for fire safety or aesthetics, to which Mr. Baker advised aesthetics. This is an issue that has been brought before. At this time, Mr. Cowles, do you have anything that you would wish to add to this?
Well, you summarized it fairly well, but I have a few things to say if I may.
You may.
Well, I have to read because there's a lot of letters here.
Oh, okay.
In 2013 to 2014, there were 5 requests for zoning variances. 3 of these were for masonry exemption. One of those was mine. it is still the only one outstanding. For masonry waivers, no specific hardships were mentioned. On mine, on the November 11th, the request for setbacks and coverage regulation and a request to reduce the percentage of masonry. Ms. Kelly asked if the masonry requirement was included in the zoning standards for safety or for aesthetics, and Mr. Baker answered as aesthetics, as you said. Okay, on June 10th, 2014, a request for variance to reduce the percentage of masonry required. Larry Cooper made the motion to approve the request. Billy Plank seconded the motion, and the motion was passed unanimously. On 14 January 2014, there was a request to reduce the percentage of masonry required. Mr. Jim Smith made the motion to grant the variance, and Mr. Russell Moore seconded the motion, and the motion passed unanimously. Okay, on October 8th, the request to grant a minimum rear and side yard of approximately 3.5 feet were approved. On just the 10th of September, a request to variance for off-street parking was approved. Those are the variances for that period. First off, regardless of how the council interprets the laws, which I cannot figure out, and their roles, the precedent exists for waiving masonry requirements. Second, it seems to me that I'm being advised to pursue other alternatives, namely brick, fake stone, or rock. The difference between stone-looking concrete, rock-looking concrete, wood-looking concrete is just aesthetics. It seems that the requirement is there for solely aesthetical reasons. If that is the case, as Mr. Baker asserted on November 11th of 2014, then the question arises, the aesthetics are to whose taste? I would not think that a pile of bricks among the existing homes out on Ballard Road would be aesthetically pleasing and would certainly be odd and out of place. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, Councilman Flake, do you have any questions regarding this?
When did you say you did 2014?
Okay, just a second.
In January, I think you said January 2014.
Okay, January 2014, request for variance, no, Jim Smith. Okay, on 10 June 2014, the request for variance to reduce the percentage of masonry required. Larry Cooper made the motion and to approve the request, and yourself seconded it, and I've got a copy of the minutes of the meeting right here.
Could I see it?
Sure. All I got to do is find it. Did I say the June 10th?
Yeah, I think that's what you said. I think this was a garage, business.
Yes,
It's a business.
it's our central business district. It wasn't a variance to masonry and residential specifically. This will be the first precedent.
There's a precedent.
You're talking about an apple and orange, sir. You're talking about central business district, which is a business.
I've got
And you're
some-
talking about masonry in agricultural under a residential.
I've got closing to
That's
go
fine.
through here also.
Okay, I just wanted to.
I'm not quite done yet.
Thank you very much.
Councilman Flake, do you have any questions?
Uh,
Councilman Cassidy. Oh, I'm sorry, are you?
Wait a moment, I'm not quite done yet.
Just questions? Or we gonna,
Well,
we can make statements?
I'm sorry, I thought you had finished.
I thought I had to, but I forgot something.
Oh, okay.
Okay, in closing, this city council has a responsibility of trying to make good decisions when things get cloudy in interpretation. It is time for this council to set up and actually make a decision. I am not building in an addition, therefore there should be some leeway in what I can do concerning my own home's content. Look out at Terra Estates or North Point out by Wyndham Farm. That is what this zoning board is advocating. A sea of roofs with brick walls and the same spacing for as far as the eye can see. A government mandated eyesore. I do not believe that that is what your constituents or the people in this room have in mind for the Van Alstyne in their future. Jim.
Thank you. Now, Councilman Blake.
Is this the planning board I can make statements, or is this just questions?
Questions and statements, if you,
Okay.
or I can come back for a statement if you prefer.
Okay, come back.
You have no more questions? Do you have any questions, Councilman Cassidy?
No, ma'am. You said you can't make statements though?
Yes, I'll come back for statements. Do you have any questions? Councilman?
I do. Mr. Quarles, now, to the east of you, your closest neighbor, what's that home made of?
Say again, ma'am, sir?
To the east of you, to the east of your property, what's that home made of?
To the east of me,
Yes, sir.
it has wooden siding and it has hardy plank as the underlayment, as the skirting around the lower couple of feet of the house.
Right, and I won't pretend that I haven't looked at it, it's just painted white.
Huh?
I won't pretend that I haven't looked at it, it's just painted white.
Yeah.
And to the south of, yeah, I think it's up the hill, what's that house made of?
Sam's house? I'm not sure. It appears to be wood to me. Okay, I point out that at 721, John, somebody wrote,
Douglas?
John Douglas.
John
Road.
Douglas?
John Douglas Road, there is a house, it's probably one of the newer houses in the neighborhood, that is 100% hardy plank.
All right.
And
Well,
what hardship did they have to be able to use it?
You may want to wait and see where I'm going with this. And so, as far as you know, the house to the south of you is built of a wood plank-like structure.
Yes.
And the house to the west of you, immediately to the west, kind of up the hill also. Is it not also made?
Okay, up the hill is south.
Well, it is also made of wood though.
Huh?
The one that's up the hill
Yeah.
is also made of wood. Is that correct?
To the west. And so it's very well. And to the north of you, that's a cemetery. Right.
Yeah.
And so
The
that
north of me, fireproof.
so the masonry that's out there shouldn't count against it.
And the closest house to the east is 741 John Douglas Road.
What I'm really getting at is it fair to say that your house sits in a pocket where on the east and on the south and on the west, all those homes are built of something that looks like wood plank?
Yes.
All right.
The difference is theirs are actually are wood planking as opposed to I'm using something that has a wood appearance but has a certain amount of fireproof capability.
Well, as far as you can tell, your house is going to blend in with all that surrounds.
I would say
One more question.
Okay, Councilman Blake, would you like to make a statement?
Yes.
Okay.
I have no problem whatsoever with the setback, your setback distance. The only reason I have a problem with the hardy plank is that we have rules and regulations that are passed out there and I know you've found some exceptions where people have been given variances. I also am sure that there's people that went in and built houses under those conditions and already built the house with the brick siding on it, or whatever they were required to do. I requested some information about that cities, houses that are close to downtown, I've noticed some of those were built with hardy plank, but within the keeping of the scheme was that they were supposed to look like the older type houses, which would probably be the hardy plank look. And so they were, it was in their zoning to do that. what I wish we would do is if we're gonna grant variances and change rules and stuff like that, that we should go find out why are the regulations in there, why do we have it zoned that way, and fix the zoning. Not piecemeal. I know that a couple of the cases that you presented, I was against because they were just attempts to save money, you know, in a neighborhood where it should have been building brick, but it wasn't.
Okay, I agree with you fully. It is not my fault if the city of Van Alstyne has not kept their zoning regulations up to keep up with the modern
Well,
siding materials that they have available.
Probably we have kept
Okay.
up, and that's why we're at the direction we are. So,
Okay.
yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
You
So,
have the floor.
okay. But that's, you know, I'm not saying I won't vote for you, but I'm saying that, you know, for your decision. But I am saying that I think that the city needs to look at this, you know, more thorough and make it to where we don't have variances and don't have discussions like this.
I couldn't agree with you more
Thank you very much.
on that. It's taken me 3 months now just to get this close to an answer.
We have the floor. You can start. Councilman Jackson.
I would just like to say, I think the ordinance was passed with the intention of improving the aesthetics of Van Alstyne. I think it serves its purpose, but what we've also got to consider, which I think I brought this back in November, if, just like Larry pointed out, if your house is surrounded by buildings, by houses of a certain structure that are not within the ordinance, I don't think you should be held to that ordinance. You should be an exception. And it's on a case-by-case basis. I mean, if the ordinance applies to most of the city or the newest part of the city, I say leave it there. But we also have to understand and appreciate that we have an older part of town that still needs to be uniform. Because it's, you know, just like you say, you're not going to drop a big brick home in the middle of a hardy white neighborhood. That wouldn't be aesthetically pleasing. So I appreciate your side, and I apologize that we can't come to a resolution sooner.
Thank you. Councilman Hill.
Yes, I want to add only one thing to what Mr. Clayton and Mr. Jaskic said, and that is that the city has passed this ordinance, the way that I understand it, in order to upgrade the vision of the city overall going through time. However, at the same time, I totally agree with them that we have to look at where is this home place. And I think Mr. Cooper's questions to you really helped to establish very clearly for all of us, although all of us have gone out to see your property and the homes around it, to be able to say to you that this makes sense for the neighborhood that the house is in.
Thank you. Councilman Cooper, do you have a statement?
I do. The city has a plan, and I want to go along with that plan, but you're in a peculiar situation where your house is, the property where you want to build a house, and that's what this board is for. You're in a pocket right there, and everybody else, I think we're in agreement here that you're in a peculiar situation, and as Mr. Jaskic pointed out, aesthetics would require another house of boards or hardy plank, something that looks like what surrounds you. So I think I would be inclined to go along with your
Okay, thank you for your statements and your comments. Okay, Billy.
I know the aesthetics in the neighborhood do make a difference. But I don't think there's probably anybody that's gonna build a new new house in Van Alstyne right now that moves into any neighborhood in town that isn't gonna find a majority of the houses around that are made out of wood. So that theory can be used for everybody. Anybody who wants to build a house could look at it and say, there's not even brick houses around me, there's 2 or 3 on a block of 8, you know, why should I have to build a brick house? And so that same idea can be used by anybody, so just consider that.
Okay,
Thank you.
can I say something?
Well, we do, I think comment time's over. But I will make a comment. There is no ordinance on this earth that will cover everything 100%. And that is why we do have items for consideration, because there are different situations, and it's not just this, it's everything. And it comes with a lot of understanding. So at this time, I will ask for a motion for an action regarding the request on this property for the variance and of the masonry required and the side yard setback. Is there a motion at this time? Councilman Peter.
Make a motion that we approve both the setback requested and the request to use the hardy plan rather than the masonry.
And we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion by council?
I have one question. How many people have to approve it on the council? Since
Four.
Four have to approve it?
This is a zoning board of adjustment. It is not a majority rule. You must have 4 votes for it to be approved.
In other words,
Otherwise,
everyone
it
is-
is defeated.
Okay.
So, and tonight, Councilman Russell, Ms. Byers, he is not well. So we have a motion and a second. All of those in favor, please raise your hand. We have 4. You have been granted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your patience. Okay, I will adjourn. I don't need a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion that we adjourn our zoning board of adjustment? We have a motion. Is there a second? We have a second by Councilman. All of those in favor, please raise your hand. This zoning board of adjustment is adjourned at 6:53. Okay, I will call to order the city council meeting. We will start with citizens communication. Do we have any citizens communication tonight? Thank you. James Cowles.
All right.
Okay.
It's going to look like I'm not appreciative, but I am. I
Okay.
feel that there are some things that need to be said because they just need to be said. Okay? I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just making a statement. We can take it for what it is. Over the past few months, I've had an opportunity to observe the last couple of your council meetings and one of your zoning board meetings. Consequently, a few questions on the times during these meetings that there is an opportunity for citizens in attendance to ask questions has risen, or to have points that are unclear to them made clear. For example, during the zoning board meeting of November 11, 2014, I had the opportunity to talk to the zoning board variance request because it had to do with my property on Ballard Road. However, there were other people in attendance who I know had input who didn't get to voice. They didn't get to voice their input simply because they didn't know how or when it was appropriate for them to put in the 2 cents worth. Later, during the council board portion, normal items of business were addressed. Railroad detours, selling water to Melissa, authorizing the mayor to sign off on the audit, fees to be charged for the civic center, and so forth. But shortly before the meeting closed, the council authorized the city manager to sign a financial advisory agreement with First Southwest Company. It sounded to me like what it amounted to was they would check out anybody who wanted to open a business in Van Alstyne to be sure they were insured or bonded, had the necessary startup capital, and their buildings were fully up to code. This is good, I suppose. But it sounds like a job for local city employees. The council's only reaction to it was, how much is this going to cost the city? Okay, the answer was nothing. At which time, they voted it through immediately. Okay, I wouldn't have minded having the opportunity to find out what fees were going to be charged by First Southwest that was going to the prospective businesses for these services, because you can bet they aren't going to do these things for free. Were they going to be prohibitively high, effectively shutting out small locally owned shops trying to survive in the downtown area? There was no opportunity provided for citizens present to ask or comment on this action, an action that appears in the long run to amount to a tax or a fee levied on anyone who wants to open a business in Van Alstyne. Next example, during the council meeting held on the December 9th, 2014, there was no zoning board meeting because of a lack of quorum. There was a discussion about eliminating one ordinance and establishing another requiring grease traps and having to do with grease removal. I would have liked to know if they were talking about restaurants and places of business, or if they were talking about residences. The ordinances were never read or explained. There was some talk about verbiage and punctuation, but no clue was given to the audience about how it would affect them as individual homeowners.
Mr. Prowse,
Yes, ma'am.
your time is up.
Okay.
If you will notice, when you come in on the back table, there is a copy of the agenda. The agenda so states, citizens may appear before the city council to address items not listed on the agenda in accordance with procedural rules as determined by the meeting chair and by submitting a request to address council, which you filled out, form with the city clerk, no later than the agenda item 1. And if you will read, we're on number 2, where it says citizens communication, not for items listed on this agenda, 3 minutes each, no deliberations with council, and council may respond with factual information only. If you have an item on the agenda that you wish to speak up for, we have forms at the table when you come in the back that you may fill out and you may speak at that time. A form is not required for a public hearing, but it is when it is done at a city council meeting. And these are all on display when you come in the door on the back table. I'm sorry I had to cut you off, but thank you very much.
Okay, but since you have several public meetings or public hearings tonight, is there an opportunity for the real humans out here in the audience to voice or have something to say, or are we just
Or
spectators?
ask if they wish to speak during a public hearing at the end. We started and we ended, and I called 3 times for people to, if they want to reply. So they have 3 opportunities to speak during a public hearing.
Okay.
Number 3, this is a public hearing, and it is conduct a public hearing regarding a request by the owner agent of the property situated in the city of Van Alstyne, county of Grayson, state of Texas, being described as G0851 McKinney Ashley AG 0851, 154 by 250 by 150 by 287, more commonly known as 1350 South Waco Street, to change the current zoning of single-family residential district to commercial district, office, light retail, and neighborhood services. When you are coming into town and you're coming from the south into town, this is the 3rd house on the west side of Highway 5 after you pass the opening to the addition at the south end of town. Is there anyone in the audience who has any comments that they would like to make regarding this change? Second call, is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment regarding this change? Third and final call, is is there anyone in the audience who has a comment or statement regarding the current zoning change on this property? Then I conclude this number 3 public hearing closed. Then we have number 4. This is a public hearing regarding the 2015 Northwest Van Alstyne Community Revitalization Plan. This plan has to do with palladium. And over here on our screen, if you will, it's very difficult to read. Jennifer, can you read that to us? Well, wait. Okay. She's going to put it up for you to read. This is the public hearing. Are we getting there?
Yes, ma'am, she's got the first page. So-
Please go to the next page. Okay. The revitalization plan. The overview. The Northwest Van Alstyne Community Revitalization Plan serves as a guiding document that articulates a vision for the Northwest Van Alstyne CRP and the City of Van Alstyne. The plan also provides a framework for designation as a community revitalization plan under the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs 2015 Qualified Allocation Plan. It lends support for the allocation of public resources and lays the groundwork for future and more detailed planning. While the neighborhood level plan was in place prior to this, the City of Van Alstyne has made ongoing efforts to maintain strong community character, facilitate the development of quality housing options, designate future park and public areas, improve education availability and facilities, and provide local job opportunities in the Northwest Van Alstyne area. Citywide, long-range planning efforts have occurred at the city level and with the school district over the past decade. On October the 30th, 2012, city engineers presented a concept plan for the ambitious development of the North Park project that would demolish blighted structures, namely the old football stadium, the redevelopment of whole areas to be a beautiful public park, including soccer field, a Little League baseball field, playground, concession area, Boy Scout facilities, and parking. Since that plan has been presented, work has begun on the park. The Boy Scout facilities are in place and removal of the stands at the football field has started. In addition, the city has committed money and commits significant road repair, water improvements, and sewer improvements in the CRP area. And it is the intention of these improvements to lure new private development to the area. It is also the intention of these improvements to bring new value to the area where neighborhood blight exists, namely the presence of deteriorating single-family homes with the walkability of a hike and bike trail, along with the family-friendly North Park and availability of exceptional educational facilities. The CRP intends to address neighborhood blight by making the area more attractive for redevelopment or new development with these tools. Van Alstyne Independent School District passed funding on November the 4th, 2014 that will add additional facilities to the existing high school and fund additional jobs in the district that will serve the CRP. The school district has plans to place a future elementary school and construct a new administration building in close proximity to both North Park and the existing high school. This CRP acts as a summary of those planning efforts that strategically leverage public resources to revitalize this part of the city and stimulate new private investment. The CRP area has been targeted for infrastructure improvements to roads and utilities that are meant to improve transportation and attract new commercial and residential development to the area, which are vital to the revitalization of the CRP area. A critical and fundamental premise of this CRP is achieving diversity in residential options in this neighborhood. The development of new residential in the neighborhood, whether it be through redeveloping or renovating blighted structures or new construction, is a goal of this CRP. At the center of this strategy is the need for diversity in affordability and multi-generation housing. The city of Van Alstyne has articulated a clear desire to become a retirement destination, and the need for quality, affordable senior housing is a strategic desire of this CRP. Efforts articulated in this CRP have already commenced, making this neighborhood more likely to draw in residential development is a clear win for this community. In order for the CRP to be successful, the neighborhood must draw in new multi-generation housing. The development of affordable senior housing is an absolute necessary element to achieve success in this CRP. The attraction of private development in the Palladium Van Alstyne Senior Living multifamily development will be a fundamental key to the success of this CRP and will be a fantastic showpiece for our neighborhood and community. Therefore, Palladium Van Alstyne Senior Living Apartments is expressly identified as contributing most significantly to the concert revitalization efforts of the city of Van Alstyne. On 1/13/15, the Van Alstyne City Council will hold a public hearing on this matter. Okay. Back to our public hearing. Are there any comments or questions regarding the community revitalization plan? Yes, sir.
Is there any definition of what a blighted piece of property is? Because I can see people that have lived this way for years and years and don't think their property's blighted, and that this could be a problem with. Is there a designation that explains what you're talking about?
There are ordinances that must be followed in a house for safety. There are safety standards that must be followed. Are there others?
Property maintenance codes.
And we have property maintenance codes for the city, and they have to be met.
This sounds like a good project,
Thank
but
you.
it sounds like a project that could stir up a lot of hate and discontent if somebody thinks their house is not blighted.
Well, that could be true. Are there any other questions or statements? Second call for questions or statements. Third and final call. Then I declare this public hearing closed at the time. 7:09. The next, I conduct a public hearing to present information related to the water supply expansion project. One of the purposes of this hearing is to discuss the potential impacts of the project and alternatives to it. And I will let Mr. Baker explain this.
Mayor and Council, we've got Bob Johnson, our contract engineers, is going to come up and give a description as to what needs to be articulated in this project. If you do have any comments or questions after we get started with this, please come up to the podium. This has to be articulated word for word once we get finished with this portion of the hearing, to be able to send this to the Texas Water Development Board. So please come up here if you have any questions or comments. Go ahead, Bob.
Thank you, Frank. I do want to reiterate what Frank just indicated, that if you do have any comments, we need to record those, and we need to get your name and address for the record, so that we have to have that for any respondent that has comments. We welcome your comments. The city has a need, and we've been talking about this now for over a year and a half, to increase their water supply availability. The city is growing, and every time somebody grows, they start using water, and they're not bringing it with them. And so we have to provide water for that growth. The city has made a decision back in 2005-2006 to participate in the Collin Grayson Municipal Alliance to develop a water line to bring water up from the city of McKinney. That water originates with the North Texas Municipal Water District, and the city of Van Alstyne is a part of that, one of the 4 partners in that, and had made a decision to augment their water supply through that avenue. They have sought and obtained a loan from the Texas Water Development Board through the State Revolving Fund to fund a project that constitutes a water line that will go from about the intersection of County Line Road and Highway 5 across to the extension of Cartwright Road, and then it will go up Cartwright Road to near Highway 121. The project also includes modifying the pump station that is already there in service. This project is not going to be a big project to implement because the water line is already connected to the CGMA line. We just have to implement, use the pump station, and modify and build a pipeline to be able to transport that water. The process for the State Revolving Fund does include an environmental review, and an environmental information document has been prepared and has been available at City Hall for the last month for you to review if you wish to do so in accordance with the regulations. The only environmental impacts that have been determined on the project are the crossing of 2 creeks just west of Highway 75. Those creeks are in a 100-year floodplain. That does constitute an environmental impact. And we are required to hold a public hearing to address that. And I'll reiterate the statement that was made a minute ago. One of the purposes of this hearing is to discuss the potential environmental impacts and the alternatives to the project. Addressing the environmental impacts, we're going to bore or tunnel under those creeks. That way we will avoid any disturbance to the floodplain, and we will avoid the anticipated environmental impacts. The alternatives to the project that we've identified would be to build more wells for the city of Van Alstyne, or to find another location to connect to the CGMA pipeline. Those are the 2 most viable alternatives to the project that's been identified and funded. And the project that was decided on was the water line that I described a moment ago. During the environmental review, when we discovered those creek crossings, we have forwarded that to all the agencies that will review it. We've received comments from many of those, but at this time, we're going forward with the pipeline, and the public hearing is a part of that process that we're having tonight. Again, there will be no environmental impact to the creeks because we are going to tunnel under them. With that, I think it would be time for comments or questions from I'll let the mayor hold the public hearing.
Okay, we're back to our public hearing. At this time, do you have any comments or questions that you would like regarding this for Bob or regarding this? If so, please raise your hand. Okay. We're going to, I believe he beat you. Would you please come forward, sir, and state your name and your question?
And we need your address as well, sir.
My name is Larry Moore. I live on County Line Road, 436 County Line Road, 375, which is the road y'all talking about. From my understanding, y'all want to move the line from the north side of the road to the south side.
No, sir. You and I had a conversation on the telephone where you said stay off my property. We moved it to the north side.
Because I didn't understand why there's already a line over there. And you want to go to the
There's a
south
6-inch dead-end line that doesn't provide the flow.
That's where I get my water.
Okay.
I can't understand why y'all was wanting to go to the south side, which it ain't even in the city.
It will
North
be,
side
because the whole idea was we were trying to find the path of least resistance. No resistance with you not wanting us on your property. We adjusted accordingly. We moved it to the north side. We don't just need to serve your property. We need to be able to serve all the properties and all the development that's going to be coming in.
Well, I realize that, but when you got nothing but on the north side but open fields, and then you want to come across an acre of land that I own, that don't make sense.
Those open fields are going to change very quickly.
Well, they're not changed yet.
I understand that. This line is key to that.
Mine is.
This line is key to that, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moore, for your next. You must come.
Okay.
You're next. You must come forward Once again, state your name and address.
Okay, I'm Jim Cowles, and I guess my Van Alstyne address is 463 Ballard Road. Actually, at the moment, I'm living in Arlington. However, I'm paying taxes on that property, so I'm here. All right, now, number one. Say again?
I was stating that I have your address.
Okay. Number one, being on Ballard Road, I'm somewhat familiar with the power plant they're talking about putting out there. I am not, I will say it right now, against it. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. But I think that it is going to have a water impact you're not thinking about, and I'm wondering if this has been thought out by you people. The water usage on that plant is 25 gallons per minute
Sir.
for each unit.
That is South Grayson water. That has nothing to do with this project, sir.
That has nothing to do with this project.
No, sir. This is
It's
going
not
up County
our
Line
water
Road,
line.
under 75 to the west side, and then up Cartwright
Okay.
towards College.
Okay, but this could,
No, sir. Please keep it specific to what we're talking about.
okay. In that case, I guess I'm talking out of the wrong side of my head. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Council.
Thank you for your interest. Okay, are there any other questions or comments at this time? Second call for questions, comments. Third and final call. Thank you, Bob. I consider this public hearing closed at 7:17. Next is number 6. Conduct a public hearing to present information related to the adoption of the City of Van Alstyne Water Resource and Emergency Management Plan. And I will let Mr. Baker explain that, and
Mayor.
Bob.
Mayor, again, it's, Mayor, Council, again, it's, Bob's going to be handling this.
Okay. Thank you, Frank. This public hearing is a little more tame. We don't have to record and document every word that's spoken. The City of Van Alstyne's been a water supplier for some time. It is responsibility of the City of Van Alstyne as a water supplier to develop and maintain a water resources emergency management plan. And basically what that is if we have a drought, what do we do? How do we address that? And so they must develop and adopt it according to TCEQ rules and according to state guidelines. The purpose of it is to anticipate and prepare for situations like we're in right now where we have a drought and we have to restrict water use or cut back on water use, try to conserve water. It is also to address and prepare in advance for situations like that and for emergencies that may occur. It is also designed to provide guidelines to the staff as to when they should implement certain restrictions and when they should take those off. Those are basically the purposes of the plan. The plan has been developed. It has been available at City Hall for inspection now for the last several weeks. It is in draft form because it has not been approved and adopted by the council at this time. The plan is consistent with all the legislative requirements. It does meet TCEQ guidelines and criteria, and it has been presented at this public hearing tonight for your comment and review. The council is required to adopt or approve an ordinance that adopts this plan, and then that plan is required to be provided to the state and will become part of the record. There are some things in the plan that could potentially impact citizens, and there are some actions that in the plan say may. Does not say are mandated. It says that they may be implemented. There are triggers in the plan that talk about when does the plan take effect. When we go into, you've heard terms on the news about stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 water restrictions. The plan outlines what those stages are, and it outlines what the triggers are. And those triggers are a lack of available water supply. Those are the primary triggers. And the second one is a lack of ability to deliver water. Those are basically the two primary triggers that instigate a stage. So if you can't get water, you have an emergency, you have a crisis, you have a situation you have to deal with, that requires you to go into a stage of restrictions. Now, again, the actions that are required in that may be required. The city has the option to do that. The second thing is, what are some of the actions that may be taken? And some of those actions are things that you've already begun to implement as part of the conservation plan, things like limiting watering to certain days of the week. In some cases, it may be limiting watering to certain days a month, depending on the stage. And again, these are things that the city can choose to implement if they wish. The objective here is to try to make sure that we can provide water when it's needed. The other thing that can be done, there are many severe things that you've probably heard talked about. When North Texas talked about going to stage 4, they talked about no outdoor watering at all. They talked about no swimming pool construction. They talked about no new landscape. They talked about, there are a bunch of those things that are very, very severe that are in the plan that may be implemented. And just for your record and for information, if those are implemented, there must be a notification to TCEQ. In other words, the city cannot implement those without notifying TCEQ. That's a requirement. I don't think the city wants to implement those. I think we want to try to increase our water supply, but we are required to have this plan, and this public hearing is a part of that process.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding this? Second call for questions or comments. Third and final call. Then I declare this public hearing closed at 7:22. Thank you very much, Bob. This concludes our public hearings. Now we will go to the items for consideration for the council. Number 7, approval of the minutes from the December the 9th zoning board of adjustments meeting and the December 9th regular meetings. Are there any questions regarding this, Councilman Blake? Is there a motion at this time? For both. For both. We have a motion from Councilman Cooper. Is there a second? And a second by Councilman Flake. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Abstain? I was thinking.
I should abstain too, since I was.
Motion passed. Number 8, consideration and make a recommendation regarding a request by the owner agent of the property situated in the city of Van Alstyne County, Crescent State of Texas, being described as G0851 McKinney Ashland, more commonly known as 1350 South Waco, to change the current zoning from single-family residential district to commercial district, office, light retail, and neighborhood services. This is something that was discussed in a public hearing. Do you have any more questions or comments regarding this, Councilman Blake?
Comment.
Councilman Justin? Councilwoman? Since there are no questions or comments regarding this, is there a motion?
I make a motion that we do what the recommended staff request was to change it from single-family residential district to neighborhood convenience,
Neighborhood convenience.
which everybody, I think, went along with that as being fine.
We have a motion, is there a second? I think Councilman Cooper's motion, second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous, motion passed. Number 9, consider and take any action necessary regarding approval of a site plan for O'Reilly's Auto Parts at the property being described as a portion of Lot 4, Block 1, replat at the Crossroads James McKinney Survey, A770, more commonly known as Farm to Morton Highway 121. This is 121 West. Are there any questions regarding this? Councilman Cooper?
No question.
Councilwoman Kelly? Councilman Justin? Councilman Flake? Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the plans and development for the O'Reilly Auto Parts through their plan as presented.
Is there a second? I have a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passed unanimously. Number 10, consider and take any action necessary regarding a request by the owner agent to plat Lot 1 Jenkins Second Addition to the city of Van Alstyne in Grayson County, Texas, being a 1.116 acre tract in the Thomas J. Paxton Survey, abstract number 953, Grayson County, Texas, at 102 Jim Jones Road, Van Alstyne, Texas. Are there any, I believe Mr. Jenkins is here if you have any questions. Do you have any questions regarding this, Mr. Cooper?
No more.
Councilwoman Kelly?
I do not.
Councilman Clay?
I'd just like to know where it is.
Well, it's right out here on the service road. You go out here and then you turn left and it's right down that road. No.
Westbound Service Road, Jim Jones, the east-west, not the north-south.
Okay.
It's the first lot behind the car lot. It's a large lot that had two homes on it, Mr. Jenkins' home as well as a larger home.
It's where Ray Jenkins Auto used to be. It's behind that. It's
Okay.
west of that.
Okay.
He wants to divide it out.
Oh, okay.
It's dividing it out. Do you have any other questions? Okay, if there are no further questions, is there a motion at this time?
Make a motion. We approve the request by the owner or agent to plat the lot.
Thank you. Is there a second? We have a motion and second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Unanimous, motion's passed. Number 11. Consider and take any action necessary regarding a request by the owner agent to plat Lot 1 Eastern Addition, being a part of the C. Watson Survey, abstract number 1356, and a part of the Val D. Fox Survey, abstract number 423, in the city of Van Alstyne in Grayson County, Texas, being a 1.819 acre tract. This acre tract is by Farmington Road. Is that, I believe that is
It is on
correct.
Farmington, yes ma'am,
This-
north-south portion.
The north-south portion of Farmington Road. Do you have any questions, Councilman Blake?
Yes, ma'am.
There are no questions. Is there a motion at this time?
I make a motion that we approve the request by the owner agent to plat this lot.
Second, we have a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Number 12, consider and take any action necessary regarding authorizing the mayor to sign consent for inclusion of city limit overlap and duly certification area in the proposed South Grayson Special Utility District boundary. Do you have any comments you would like to make on this, Councilman Baker? Councilman Baker. Councilman Blake, do you have any questions?
So I'm all these places where the XX, where the two things cross over is what you want to share with us?
Yes, sir, and it's difficult,
Yes.
it's difficult to see on the black and white. Jennifer's brought up the document that was sent over to us by South Grayson.
Yeah. But the main thing is, are those locations of lines, is that why it's?
That's the location of their lines coming through the city limits.
Okay, okay.
Do you have any other questions?
No.
Do you have any questions?
I want to make a statement of clarification for everyone that I believe is correct, and that is that this is not a fiscal impact to the city, correct?
No, ma'am, it does not have.
This is to allow voting within the area that would be impacted by this decision.
That's our understanding.
Only. That's all.
Julie's kind of losing her voice.
Yeah, it's in the bottom.
All right. Legals, recommends discussion of this in executive session and then taking action afterwards.
Okay, then is there a motion that we table this until it's not listed as
I understand.
Do that?
Legal system.
we can, even though it is not listed as
Yes, ma'am.
okay, do I need a motion for us to table it until executive session? I do not. So the 13, consider and take any action necessary regarding approval of an ordinance designating the city manager to install traffic control devices within the city limits. Councilman White.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Well,
I said it sounds like a good idea to me.
okay. Councilman Baker.
I read through it, I think that's,
Yes, Mr. Baker, can you explain to us why this would be beneficial for you to be able to do this and not have to bring this back to council over and over?
What we're going to end up having over time is, as the town turns over and different areas becoming industrial, different areas, the landscape changing, we're going to have different requests. The current request has been from the cemetery to install traffic devices over off Sherman Drive. It's not a big issue to bring it to council right now. However, in the future, we have the potential for there to be multiple requests. And as funds allow, the ideal situation is to get with a traffic engineer to determine necessity and applicability for traffic control devices, and then to brief council as to what the nature and determination is. If y'all want to retain control with council, that's perfectly up to y'all. The main thing is trying to streamline the process and trying to get it to where I'm briefing y'all as to what's going on, as opposed to bringing every little thing to you.
And then, if you will notice in our discussion, it is after receiving a request from a citizen regarding adding a traffic control device, such as a stop sign. It was determined that the most appropriate manner in which to add such devices would require a traffic control ordinances. So it would allow the traffic control devices to be installed in conjunction with state.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, are there,
A question from Mr. Baker.
okay?
Yes,
And you mentioned the traffic control engineer, and you'll be seeking their advice on each and every one of these requests?
sir. It won't be arbitrary. It'll be we won't be able to, without them meeting the traffic code and installing them appropriately, and it being based upon need and necessity, we won't be able to enforce it. It would create a situation where there would be a liability to the city. So the whole objective is to set up those caveats, to go through that process, and to not do it arbitrarily, but to do it based upon need and necessity.
And you don't have to make this decision all on your own?
No, sir. It's not my field. The main thing is the process.
Okay, yes.
will this be reported to council?
Yes, sir. It'd be part of a briefing, letting y'all know what we're doing, what we've been contacted about, this is what we're doing. And that can be done in staff briefings as opposed to bringing it to council and it being one more item on the agenda.
Okay. Is there a motion at this time?
Make a motion, Mayor, that we allow the city manager to designate the installation of traffic control devices.
Well, we want to approve the ordinance.
Yes. Thank you.
Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. Number 14, consider and take any action necessary regarding appointment of Donald Ash to the Parks and Recreation Board. Did I pronounce that right? Okay. You have the application that was in your packet, and he would be on the Parks and Recreation Board, and they have recommended the appointment of him. Do you have any questions at this time, Councilman White?
No, ma'am.
Councilman Basin?
No questions, but I know Mr. Ash, I think he's a great addition.
Thank you.
I have no questions.
No questions? You agree with Mr. Chester?
Okay. Is there a motion at this time?
I'll make a motion that we accept Donald Hash's request or application to be a part of the Parks and Rec.
Okay, is there a second? We have a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Passed unanimously. Number 15, consider and take,
Did we ever pass did we ever pass the ordinance allowing them to have 7 members? We did?
yes, we
Okay.
do.
Okay.
Number 15, consider and take any action necessary regarding authorizing the mayor to sign resolutions of support for Palladium USA Senior Housing, adopting a revitalization plan for the area of the city in which the project is located, and/or amending or reaffirm the 380 agreement with Palladium USA. We have representatives from Palladium here tonight. Sorry for that inconvenience. Will you please continue?
Madam Mayor, my name is Tom Huth. I'm the President and CEO of Palladium USA. City council members, city staff, residents, thank you for allowing us to come up here this evening and discuss our development with you. Scott's going to come back up here, and we're going to show you where we took on from last year to this year with this development. We were before council last year for the senior development, which contains both a combination of affordable senior living apartments and also a market rate component. And unfortunately, this is a very competitive process to get the financing to enable one of these to go forward. And we were not successful this year with this development. So we came back this year. We were ones not to give up easily, okay, especially when we know that the need is there in the city for this. It is a wonderful development for our seniors. The demand is here, and so we're going to keep fighting and fighting until we can get this done. And hopefully this will be the year that we do this. Scott's going to come up and talk. He's going to bring up the site plan, let you see it a little bit closer at the site plan. The site plan. So if you remember, what we have here is this glassine road right here. Okay. This here is the development. Okay, proposed development. Right now, it's a bunch of, it's farmland. Okay. And so what we propose is we have two different types of structures. We have a 3-story interior corridor AC building here, which also has the amenities in here. It's a 2-story amenity area right here. We'll talk about those in just a second. Okay. And then you're looking at the wonderful pool area. Okay, elevators serve, okay, both ends we've got elevators, okay, but also what we have is we have single-story fourplexes. Okay, so single-story fourplexes, they're 1-story, and each one of them has a little garden area outside. So our seniors can come in here and they can decide whether they want to live in something that's less dense, single-story, maybe like they're used to living in right now, okay, with their little yard and close parking by, or if they want to become, I say more social, but it is, the 3-story development here, elevators served, where all the amenities are, kind of where the action is. Okay, you can choose that too. Okay, and so you've got very, places that you can live here, and with this, you can see that this is a relatively very undense development. Okay, lots of green space. We'll have lots of walking trails through here, and over here we have a dog park. Okay, so this will be a dog park that will be a fenced-in dog park. Okay, so you can come in, you can let your pet loose, and then they can run around and they can chase each other. It's kind of cool. We do this at every one of our developments. 5 years ago, no one did it. Okay, and so now they are the hottest thing, especially, when you have the land to do it. And one thing we're doing here is there's a right-of-way here for Graywood Drive, okay, which we're not going to build over. We can put a dog park over now until we kind of bring the road through, then we'll just move the dog park on this one. We also own the set of land here. So this is the development here. Scott, let's talk through
How many
what's in the
acres?
clubhouse. So this here is about 12 acres. All of this here. So this here is the clubhouse. So the first floor of the clubhouse, and the amenities is what's very important for our seniors. So without the amenities, okay, it's nothing special, okay? So what we have is a porte cochere entrance. So when you drive up to this, you're going to see something pretty spectacular, which is, this here is resembling what it's, okay, going to look like, okay? So it's going to have lots of stone, porte cochere, you get dropped off. Now, the one thing about this that I like, okay, is that you get dropped off. Hopefully, you know, your children will be dropping you off, so you don't have to go park your car. Okay, they drop you off, you come walk right into this. Okay, so we got a reception area here. We have a library in there. We're going to have a computer room, an amenity room. Okay, over here there's a workroom. Okay, then we have manager's offices over here. During the day, this will be staffed with a manager and an assistant manager. And then we come over here, we come through it, fitness center, the mail kiosk over here. On this side, we have the break room with a kitchen, coffee bar, refrigerator. Okay, so if you want to have a little dinner party, you can do that in here. Okay. And there's also additional stores through here. Then we have restrooms there as well. Okay. Then there's also a nice porch. So you go outside to the porch, it's a covered porch looking out to the pool area. Laundry facilities right here. Okay. So there's a lot of amenities with this, and they're large amenities too. And the exciting part is when we get to the next one here, the second level. Okay, that is.
Is that the actual floor plan?
That
will
is
be
the
built?
actual, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is the actual that's in the architectural drawings right now.
So it'll be left for City Hall, so people can look at it.
We can leave this here, absolutely. So the second floor, this is really cool. Theater. Okay, so you know the second level, this has got an indoor theater here, then an additional activities room as well. Okay? And then my favorite is this balcony. So you're looking out on the balcony, looking out over the pool, looking out, so you'd be looking in this direction right here. Out over the pool, over the grounds. Okay, this is 3 stories. We debated 2-story, 3-story. Frank is saying we can do 3. We would love to do 3. Okay, we want to do 3 with this. You got a great view from up here, looking out over the grounds, and it's going to be fantastic for our seniors. So we can leave those here. Thank you, Scott.
And this is a gated community
It'll be gated community, absolutely.
and age restricted.
Yeah, age restricted 62 years and older, okay? So what does that mean? That means if you're 62 and you're married, and your spouse is 61, 2 things have to happen, okay? One of them is you live there by yourself until your spouse catches up with you, okay? Or 2, you find a new spouse at 62, okay? So we're very strict on this, okay? Everybody that's living in the unit has to be 62 on a lease, okay? Everyone is run through a background check, okay? So we run everyone through, and it sounds harsh when we're talking about our family deals, okay? And we're talking about a great family starting out, okay, running everybody through background checks and security and all that. That's pretty normal. Okay, but when you're talking about our seniors, I have a hard time just emphasizing the fact that our seniors, we're going to run them through a database of 750 jurisdictions. We're going to run them through Interpol, FBI. I know, exactly. So, but we do that because we treat everybody the same. It's our management company that will manage this, just like we manage our high rises and our mid rise and everything else that we do. It's the same standards for that. Yeah, exactly. So if you've got a felony, you're not going to be living here. Okay, if you have an assault misdemeanor, you're not going to be living here. Okay, and we do those things is because developments are communities. And they're communities because of who the residents are that live there. Okay, so we take this very seriously, and it's very hard to get through our background checks. And it's the standard that we apply, like I said before, whether it's a high-rise, whether it's a mid-rise garden, it doesn't matter what the product is. It's our management company that does this, okay? And we have the same exacting standards no matter what the product type is. So number of units, 120 units. 90 what we call under the affordable program, and 30 under the market rate program. So how this works is the state sets limits where if you make up to this amount, okay, then you can live and pay what we call the affordable rents. Okay, if you make more than that amount, you still live here, you get to pay the market rate rents. So what we love about this development is no matter what your pay structure is, no matter how much you earn, you can live here. Okay, the benefits are, okay, and what this is designed for is because the high cost of living today, okay, we're unable to charge a rent and cap that rent at certain amounts. Okay, and so that's what the benefit is of this program. And the great thing about it is we have both market rate and affordable. So what does it contain? We talked about our porte-cochere, swimming pool, gazebo, fully appointed clubhouse, business center, coffee bar, walking trails, community room, barbecue grills, furnished fitness center with treadmill, ellipticals, full perimeter fencing, on-site storage for the units. Garages available. Scott, I'm not sure if we show garages on this or not, do we?
Not on that one.
Select unit amenities, of course, 1 and 2 bedroom units ranging in size from 740 to 1,010 square feet. Covered unit entries, 9-foot ceilings, of course, full kitchen appliance packages. And our kitchens are not minimized. I mean, these are standard kitchen sizes. Okay, so standard appliance sizes. Everything in the kitchen is standard to an apartment development, quality apartment development. Refrigerators, of course, both sides washer dryer connections, but we also have an on-site laundry facility. And usually, when we talk about who our residents are, there are seniors, there are, our parents, folks that want to live close to their grandchildren, but maybe they don't have an opportunity for whatever reason. And so these developments are so well received in our communities. And our veterans, especially, is one of the areas that our veterans are having a very, very hard time finding quality places to live. We're talking quality here. Is this development will cost over $120,000 a unit to develop. Okay, this is very expensive development. And as far as the benefits to the city beyond providing great housing for the citizens, is we are a taxpayer. We are not a tax exempt entity. We pay property taxes, we will pay school taxes, we will pay city taxes, we will pay county taxes. So how do we do this? How do we win this year? How do we, set us apart from the others? Because this is a competitive process to get this financing. Okay, last year we lost by 1 point. Okay, so we went back this year. We spent a lot of time. We spent a lot of money on this development last year. We said, we're going to come back to the city. And how do we get this done? And how we get this done is basically 3 things that we need a resolution of support from council that says we as a city support this development. Okay, we support this development as long as it's developed the way that the developer says it's going to be. We support this development. The state wants to know the cities are behind these developments, and it's not the case where you can come in and make this development and put it up and not tell the city about it and come in. All of a sudden you got the development. Everybody's wondering, where did this come from? Okay, the city has to be behind this and they have to support it. Okay, the other thing we need from the city, and there's different ways of doing this, is the city, and and the state actually wants the city to be invested in these communities, have some, I hate this phrase, but have some skin in the game, okay? And so there's lots of ways to do that. And we worked with the city last year, and we're proposing that we just amend this 380 agreement that we had last year to provide that at the end, I think it's at the end of 10 years, okay, that we will get paid basically what amounts to 1 year's worth of city property taxes back at the end of 10 years. So after paying property taxes for 10 years, okay, we will get 1 year's worth back. Okay, and so the state says that's great. Okay, that works all day long. The city's invested because of that, and so that works. And so there's a 380 agreement which we executed last year, which is on the table now to basically be ratified again for this year. Then the third thing is how we do this differently than we did last year. This year, with this community revitalization plan, that will get us the points that we need, we believe that we need to be successful to get this development done this year. Okay, and the mayor did a great job reading through this community revitalization plan, a few minutes ago. And so with that, with the vote of yes, resolution of support for the community revitalization plan, yes to ratify the 380 agreement, and then also the resolution of support again, with those three documents, we feel we will come back to you in March and April and say we're going to do it this year. We're going to get it done. Any questions?
Are there any questions at this time or comments?
Where is this located?
So this is at what's Blasting Game, the old College Street here. So here is 75, basically that runs right through here.
Okay.
Blasting Game, College Street.
Do you know where the middle school is?
Also Fifth Street.
West of the middle school, west of North Park.
Okay. Okay, and it's part of the revitalization plan for the blighted community over there, right?
It's all farmland. It's just,
Well, their area
Yes,
is
but
totally
this is
farmland.
part of the.
This is part of the revitalization plan.
That's fine. All right. I was just curious about where it was.
Okay, are there any other questions?
Did I know any better?
Are there any existing structures there now?
I'm sorry, existing structures? No, it's vacant farmland today.
And how much are those units going to be cost-wise?
For rent?
Yes.
Good question. So, and this is a range, the one, so we have the units that are priced for the market rate, and then we have the units that are priced with the affordable component. And when I say that, don't conjure up some image, or please don't, that there are separate units, that if you're in the affordable section, that you're here in the back, and if you're market rate, you're here up front. That's not the case. Every unit's exactly the same. They're built exactly the same. There's no differing features whatsoever. In fact, 1 year, this unit that's in this fourplex right here may be market rate, and that resident moves out, a new resident moves in, and they may fall under the affordable component. Okay, so the units are exactly the same. Okay, no one knows where you're living. If your neighbor is under the affordable or the market rate, it doesn't matter. Okay, the units are exactly the same. So under the market rate part of this, right now the market rate rents, okay, about $1,000 a month for a one bedroom. Okay, that's what the market is. Okay, under the 2 bedrooms, market rate rents are about $1,200 a month. Okay, that's expensive, and that's expensive. Okay, and it's even more expensive the further south you go into McKinney, and then you get into Plano and Dallas. I mean, that's why this program is so worthwhile today, because of how expensive multifamily rents have become. Compare that to under the affordable program here, the rents are $660 a month for one bedroom. Much more reasonable, right? Okay, much more reasonable. And it's the same unit. Okay, 2-bedroom units, $793. Okay, the goal of this program is to make it like it was back in, when I was, I'll say when I was growing up, maybe it's when Scott was growing up back in the 60s. Okay, make it about, 30% of your disposable income should be what you pay for housing. Okay, that's what it was. Okay, it's gotten so crazy over the last 15, 20 years that most of us, not all of us, most of us pay more than that. And it's not surprising some people paying over 50% of what they bring in for their housing.
Are you mandated to allocate a specific percentage, or do you know what the percentage is typically with your other unit, property in terms of what is affordable and what is?
Yeah, that percentage is fixed. Okay, when we were working with the city, okay, the city said we want, okay, about a 75, we suggested, and the city said, yeah, that sounds right. It's about a 75% affordable, 25% market rate, okay? And that can't change, okay? So we can't go into this program and change it, you know, for whatever reason and go to 100% market rate, okay? We can't go into this program, we could go to the program and do the opposite. We can come in here and you know, under the market rate part of this, charge whatever we want. Okay, and so we could bring those rents down if we chose, but we can't have more affordable units. That once you make that application to the state, you're set in
So
stone.
it's 75% affordable, 25% give or take.
Approximately.
Julie?
I just want to see if I understood something you said correctly, that the 380 agreement is only supposed to be the anticipated equivalent going back of 1 year's worth of property taxes?
Well, that's originally when we came up with that amount was, no, it has nothing to do with property taxes, but that kind of equates to what it is. Okay. Now that amount is dictated by the state. Has nothing to do with property taxes.
What is your anticipated value on the tax rolls?
When this is developed at $120,000 a unit to develop. And taking into account that this is an income producing property, I've got a slide in here.
On the proposed amendment, there's a figure, and I don't know if this is the figure you're looking for. Projected economic value is $27,285,000. Is that the figure you're looking for, or is it something?
Well, that's in the community revitalization plan. That's what the value of all things the city, okay, together with the school district for this community revitalization plan, that's the value of the improvements they think is going to occur within the boundaries of the CRT. Okay, no, that's not going to be the value of this development. Because that value there approaches a number that's about over $200,000 a unit, which is, our highlight today, we're spending about $230,000 a unit to build, which is very expensive. And I'm working myself through this. And so at $120,000 a unit to develop for 120 units, which is what we are proposing, that value, that comes up about $14.4 million is what the cost is to develop this. Okay?
Right, the taxes are based on the
At a
anticipated
60% value of NOI, okay, which is kind of what we get assessed at for income producing property, that puts a value about $8.6 million. Okay, so of the $8.6 million, when you apply the city tax rate of, which what it was back in 2013, I think this has been updated about 5.94, comes out to be annual property tax to the city of about $51,000 a year.
Okay. May I ask you a question? Now, in the age group we're talking about here, you can have a couple go in there.
But you got to be 60. Remember, you got to be 62.
Yeah, okay, well, let me know.
Okay. Or above.
I'm not looking for teeny bopper.
Okay.
Okay. You can have a couple go in there. And just like I lost my wife about 15 months ago,
Sorry about that.
48 years of marriage. But she got where she had to have a walker. She got where she had to have, she never got into a wheelchair, but you had to have ramps for different things.
Right.
I'm not asking are these handicapped equipped units, but there are things that they can do like she was using oxygen, she had this oxygen thing to run around. All the doors cut off about 3/4 of an inch, so you can get that little oxygen line around without getting tangled up. It's not, it's something you can do. Is there any thought given to handicap thing? The worst thing down in, especially in the Arlington area, is they have all these dingbat sunken living rooms. There are
Right.
tracks for anybody.
Right, which are
that's not
the homes
unsure
built
on
in the
their feet.
70s, did it, 70s and 80s,
You
exactly.
know, you don't have to design a
Yeah.
thing as a handicap compatible, but you can design it so it's not a trap.
Right.
Has any thought been given to this?
Absolutely, and those are great thoughts, especially when we're talking about a senior development. But what I'm about to say even applies whether it's a senior or a family development, is that the entire property is all ADA compliant. Okay, so every ADA statute that's out there that would apply to this development will apply to this development and will be carried out. Scott, talk about anything, you know, from your side that you can add. Scott Johnson, who's Senior Vice President of Development and Construction for us, talk about the ADA compliance part of this.
Well, all units are constructed to be modified before we modify a whole. And so that would mean the restrooms blocking would be behind the wall for rails if they're so desired. Doors would be a little bit wider than traditional residential.
When we were looking at houses in Arlington, there were houses you couldn't even get a walker into the bathroom.
I'm sure that's quite common. Whereas this will be designed as a senior community.
And even the swimming pool, the great thing about the swimming pools that we do in these developments here for senior developments is that you've got, you know, walk-in pools. Okay, so you can if you walk slow, you can walk right into the pool, as opposed to having stairs to climb down into, or just running and jumping into the pool. Okay, and so
I was just curious.
it's got all those features with it. We got the ANSI units as well, so it's more than, you know, compatible for ADA, and I think for what, you know, the questions that you raised.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We will not be voting on this at this time. This will be discussed in executive session, and we will vote on it when we come out. However, before we go to the next, is there any questions that the council would like to ask? Councilman Blake?
Yes, ma'am. The original proposal was for 165 units, and now it's 120 units. Is there any reason? I mean, I'm involved with the senior center. I've talked to a lot of people. There's a lot of excitement. Not only the seniors in our community, but people whose parents may want to come here. I mean, I got the impression that we were probably going to be having a waiting list to fill. I mean, the 165 to me would fill up pretty quickly. Is there any reason why you lowered it to 120?
Yeah, unfortunately, our sweet spot is actually our sweet spot's about 180 units. Okay. When we did our feasibility study, and this was, you know, so you start the study in this time, okay, that was finished up the middle of February last year, is that when the market study came back, the appraiser said, I'm concerned about 165 units. Okay, because a couple things. Evidently, there was a development that was in Sherman. Now, I know this isn't Sherman, okay, but it was a senior deal in Sherman, 200 and some units that never leased up. Okay, they could not find a residence to fill that up. Okay, and all the lenders know that. Okay, so when we proposed 165 units, 62, you know, age restricted to 62 and above. Okay, so Tom, you know, you can do what you want, Tom, but I'm just telling you that from the appraiser's standpoint, I would suggest you go with a smaller number and blow it out of the park, and make the city so proud of it, say, why can't we need more, we need more, we need more of it, okay, then more comes, okay, than to do too many units and have it sit there, not be able to fill it up. Okay, so we said, look, we want to do what's best for the city. We want to do, we would prefer to do a smaller unit development and have it 100% successful, okay, than to make it too large and not be able to fill the units up. So that's why we brought it down to 120 units. And this is, but here's the thing is with this, you know, we think it's going to blow out of the ballpark, no question. Okay, so then we come back, okay, we can do another one. Okay, so this isn't one and done. Okay, and when we go into the community, we want to do many deals. Okay, and so, you know, what I would suggest is let's make this a success. Okay, we'll come back and we do another one. Okay, and then when that time comes, then we'll hear different things. Well, next time if you do another one, then why don't you do this, and why don't you do this one? Great, let's do that. Okay, so then we have another outstanding development.
Is it your financials that you have discussion, you have go ahead yet?
As far as?
Going ahead with the project.
Well, right, yeah, so to get this financing that we need in order to build units under the affordable components, okay, it's a very competitive process with the state, okay, and so we will be competing, okay, against, in this Dallas-Fort Worth region, we will be competing against probably 50 other developments, okay, and they will report about 7 or 8. And so that's why it's very competitive, and the state makes you, I don't say jump through these hoops, they can jump through these hoops, okay? And a lot of it's to make sure that the cities want this, okay? That the city wants this development, that they want this financing so these great developments can happen to their city. And so that's why they make everybody jump through these hoops. And so we get these resolutions tonight, that gets us very far through the process, okay? Especially with the community revitalization plan, we think we're winners in this. Okay? And the great thing about it, this time next year we can get into construction.
It's on a point system.
Right, exactly.
So each thing can give you so many points and then
Exactly.
the total amount.
I don't want to put words in your mouth. I thought you said March, but maybe not. When do you think you'll know what it is?
Good, yeah, very good question. So it's a process, like anything else. It's a process. So we filed our pre-applications. We filed them last Thursday. Okay, and so the state comes out. They'll come out at the end of the month with a law that we would have filed a pre-application for this region. Okay, so then the full application is due the end of February. Okay, the full application ends up being a report that's probably 400 to 600 pages long. Okay, and by that point we will have spent $70,000 to $100,000 putting this together. Architectural drawings, phasal environmental studies, geotech studies, surveys, feasibility appraisal studies for it. So all this goes into this application. The state will come out at the end of March with another ranking. Okay, then they'll rank you by your score. Okay, so then the state goes and they vet these applications. So they'll vet the top 10. If they're only going to award 7, they'll vet the top 10. Okay, and if those score like they say they're going to, then by the middle of May, 1st of June, you know where you stand. Okay, and and we think that we will be in the driver's seat to be awarded. And the final awards come the end of July.
And this year, you need a resolution from us. And you also now, what's the timing on, I read about the grant, and the last proposal was a $57,000 grant. It looked to me like it was supposed to come up front, and that it would go to you up front.
Not at all.
It's at the end.
No, your city attorney is too smart for that. Okay, not that we would suggest, and we never did suggest. Okay, because to us in all honesty, the money's irrelevant. Okay, in 10 years, I'm not, the city manager's gonna write this down, but, in 10 years, that has nothing to do with it. Okay, and so what this says, and we're probably fine with this, that we get this at the end of 10 years, after we, make these property tax payments, and then after the end of 10 years, then we'll be reimbursed the $57,000.
In getting the, but requesting the grant or getting the grant, is that part of the package that you need to get
Yeah.
the approval? to get the
Yeah,
score?
and the kind of the good and bad with it, it's a calculation, okay, it's 0.15 times, it's a calculation state mandates times your population, okay? So, for instance, if we were in the city of Dallas, if we in Fort Worth, the number's 2.5 million. Okay, and they kind of do that because, if you look at the budget of Van Alstyne, okay, compared to the budget of Dallas, okay, they're not equitable, okay? But on a percentage basis, they bring everything on a relative basis, okay, it's the same. Okay, it's very simple. 57,000 to us here, okay, is probably worth about the same as 2.5 million in the city of Dallas. It's a big number. Okay, it's a very big number. And so that they do it that way so that, every city, no matter what its size, kind of competes in the same arena.
The last couple of questions I have, what kind of diamonds are in this big building and maybe medical stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we need to be pretty clear about this. This is not assisted living. Okay, so this is independent living. This is independent living 62 years of age and older. Okay, so we will have dining facilities. Okay, up here, either the great room or you can do it up here in the activities room. We have tables up here, so that if you want to, probably be down here in the great room next to the kitchen. Okay, and have some tables set up there, but there won't be daily menu, okay, service offer. Okay, now does that say that once a month or whatever that we do something with the residents? No, we do that a lot. Okay, but it won't be coming down to the cafeteria and getting food service. Okay, that adds so much more expense to what the residents have to pay, and especially when we have the full kitchens in here, and these kitchens are knocked out kitchens. They're fabulous. Okay. And the medical side of it too, we won't offer medical services, but we will offer, and I think we do it 2 days a week, Scotty, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, it's 2 days a week, and we can take, and it's either, we'll hire a bus to come and take some residents to their medical, appointments, something like that. And so we know that that's a very big part of what our resident base is, that service aspect.
Thank you very much. Now we will go to number 16. Consider and take any action necessary regarding approval of an ordinance specifically reaffirming the creation of the police department requiring all police officers to be licensed, creating the position of chief of police, outlining the duties and responsibilities of the chief of police, and establishing the authority, duties, and responsibilities of police officers as required to participate in the Texas Police Chief Association Law Enforcement Best Business Practices Recognition Program. This ordinance will specifically reaffirm all of these things, and the police department is ready to be recognized, get a recognized status from the Texas Police Chiefs Association.
I think you pretty well covered it there. No, basically, to go through the standard process with the Texas Police Chiefs Association, we have to have a document from the governing body. And this document could have been created back in the 1920s, but we're unable to find it. So they require a document from the governing body reaffirming of the department. And basically, that's what this ordinance is. So that way we can move forward with the standard procedure, which requires a lot more than just the ordinance. But it's just one more step that we have to, document that we have to have for the to be able to get the recognition sealed.
Any council have any questions?
I think this is an excellent program, and I have,
There's only 150 departments roughly in the whole state
uh-huh.
that have this recognition, so we want to be the first in Grayson County to acquire it. It's a lot of work.
Well, it ensures that the agency has policies and procedures in place to comply with all state laws regarding law enforcement. And they do have a lot of requirements that give you a high quality of service. And it is an excellent program. Does council have any questions regarding this, Councilman Blake? Yes.
Chief, is there, y'all already have some kind of a status other than the recognized by now?
We're starting the process, and this is, we've already implemented the new policy as of December 1st for the department. And the next step is we have to have, what'll happen is there'll be chiefs from somewhere in the state that will come to the department, and they're required, they'll go from our policy, literally how we operate every day. They'll look at the generator to make sure that it sends a report. They break it down, so it's the best quality of service that you can provide. One thing they want is a documentation. They're real big on documentation. So we have to provide them an ordinance showing of the creation of the department or the reaffirming of the department.
I can't see any reason we wouldn't just say that we move forward. I think we have an outstanding police department. This is great to make it even better.
Councilman Cooper?
I have a question. Probably for next week.
Yes, sir.
This language in section 3, the last sentence, I think, the jurisdiction of the police department shall be the corporate limits of the city.
Just like, sir.
The last sentence right here.
Yeah, bottom of the first page in the tower of it.
Shall be corporate limits, city, that property line outside the city limits, which is owned by the city, and other areas allowed all along.
And I just wonder, is that a good description of our extra territory, ETJ?
It's appropriate for what we're trying to achieve.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. And then just one little typo, I think, Mayor.
Okay.
I think in section 5, part B, it says the chief of police shall carry out the functions of the police department relating to public safety and enforcement. And it says or ordinances, but I think that should be.
You are correct.
Is that all right, Julie?
Yes.
5B.
Thanks, sir.
Even more nitpicky, where the
Well,
word,
it's important to get it right.
where the word state is used 3 times in that same section, or once in section 5 part B and twice in section 6 part A, should the word should it be capitalized?
Should state be capitalized?
Yes, the first one.
Specifics.
I don't think it's, just like federal is lowercase, I don't believe that state is supposed to be uppercase in that instance. Is that correct, Julie, or is that?
State, I believe.
Yes, I think it's fine either way.
Okay.
If you want to change it, we can leave federal lowercase.
If everybody's okay with it.
Okay. It's, yeah, because it's not specific to Texas or.
Any specifics.
Nothing
Any
else.
Okay. If there are no other questions, is there a motion at this time?
Ordinance passage of the approved order.
And we have a motion, is there a second? We have a motion and a second, all of those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passed unanimously. Number 17, consider and take any action necessary regarding approval of the state bid contract for Clean Water State Revolving Fund, SRF, construction through the Greater Tucson Utility Authority. Mr. Baker, do you have any comments you want to make regarding this?
Mayor and Council, this is Drew Satterwhite's here to represent GTUA, who's their administrator. GTUA just wants to affirm that the process that we're undertaking with the pipe bursting, the sewer line coming out of Industrial Park going to the sewer plant is the process that that not only that we want to take, but council is aware of us doing this. It's not unusual to perform the pipe bursting, but it's the first time that Van Alstyne has utilized this process, and also GTUA. Is that true, Drew?
Correct.
So what's occurring is not only does council need to be aware, but the board over at GTUA wants to make sure that council's aware that that's what we're going to do. And I know we've talked about it, but it's a new process that we're undertaking. Steve White has experience with it, as well as Leonard Manis and Bob Johnson, our engineers. Since G2A is going to approve this, and there are intermediary to make this loan happen through Texas Water Development Board, he just wants to make sure that everybody's fully aware that this is what we're going to do, that we are going out for it. The pipe bursting is through by board. It is under the state bid, and it does follow the state bid contract. It is lawful and legal, and it streamlines the process for us to utilize by board. And there's two mechanisms in the state that is typically utilized by municipalities, and it's by board or HGAC. Typically, you see us utilize those for purchasing equipment, vehicles, things of that nature. This is one of those rare instances where we're going to use it for a service and utilize an infrastructure. Is there anything that I need to add?
I think you covered it.
Okay, so that's the whole reason for bringing this to council, so that way Drew can go back to his board and articulate that everybody is on board, and that's the way we want to go, because we need to get this accomplished and utilizing by board, and their state bid contract is the best utilization of efforts, instead of going out for throughout the whole bid process and being redundant on what's already been achieved by board.
The city of Van Alstyne for the replacement repair of the trunk line east of town from Farm Market 3133 to Farm Market 121.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any questions regarding this, Councilman Platt?
No, ma'am.
Councilman Jackson?
No.
Is there a motion at this time?
Make a motion that we approve, recommend approval of the state bid contract for clean water state construction.
Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passed unanimously. At this time, we will convene into executive session in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. The City Council may meet in a closed executive session pursuant to applicable laws. The items listed for executive session are pursuant of Section 551.0871 and 2, Economic Development Negotiations, to discuss Palladium USA Senior Housing, closed session to Chapter 551.0711 and 2, Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney regarding a former employee in Palladium USA Senior Housing.
And Mayor, that
And
one
we
will
have-
also cover item 12.
I have item 12 and item 15.
Yes.
So those are the two items that we will be covering at this time. We usually have an executive session here. I need to send everybody out home or home. But we will give you a, what time is it? We will go back into, it's 8:24, and we will go into executive session at 8:30. And when we come out, we will take any action necessary as a result of this. So at 8:30, we will be going into executive session. Thank you very much for your attendance. District boundary. At this time, is there a motion for an action on this, perhaps?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to table this issue pending further investigation for 30 days.
Okay, is there a second for that? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passed unanimously. Let's go to item 15. Item 15. I feel like I'm playing peekaboo here. Item 15, consider and take any action necessary regarding authorizing the mayor to sign a resolution of support for Palladium USA Senior Housing, adopting a revitalization plan for the area of the city in which the project is located, and are amending or affirming the 380 agreement with Palladium USA. There are, if you will notice on your agenda report, these are the 4 items that are listed that we are proposing, that are proposed for tonight. Is there any discussion? No, Bill?
No.
Is there a motion regarding the 4 items?
Motion and authorizing the mayor to approve the 4 items.
To approve the 4 proposed items. Do I need to read those individually or? No. Okay, the 4 proposed items. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. The 4 items are passed. The next item on the agenda is our department reports. Mr. White, you are the departments tonight. Do you have a report?
Christmas holidays, we had somebody dumped some chemicals into the sewer system and overcame our paint plant. We lost most of our bacteria. We had to work Christmas Day, day after Christmas, for 3 or 4 days. And still we're at the process now to try to get the plant up and running properly. And that's part of that grease trap ordinance that we passed, that doesn't allow people to dump stuff in. We're still trying to trace to where it came from. What it looks like is heavy soap and gasoline or oil-based product, and could possibly came from a car wash or something of that nature. It did put us in non-compliance for 4 days with TCEQ. We notified TCEQ when it took place. We followed all the guidelines and requirements. And right now our ECOLA are back in line. We're trying to maintain that with the new RAS pump that's going.
So until we locate where it came from, there's a possibility it will happen all over again.
That is correct.
Is that everything, Steve?
Yeah.
Grab it, key, please. Jennifer,
Okay.
Yes,
Well, that concludes our department reports.
Do you have or can you put together an approximate cost? What I'm getting at is that might be the letter to the editor too. If we have some idea of maybe the volume, the junk that was dumped, what it cost the city.
The system is so long, it can go into the system and trail for miles and miles. And it depends on the strength of the solution that was placed in there. But once it impacts that wastewater, it hits the area that we actually use enzymes. And it took us probably 3 days to get the soap removed from there. You actually, on Christmas Day, you can walk up there and actually smell the perfume from the soap. We know there was detergent involved, but the petroleum product, you can see on top of the water, the grease and oil that was floating on top of the water. And we look for our wastewater to be kind of a coffee color. It was real pale, real white, stratified, that showed that our enzymes were dying. We reseeded it with waste from the other side of the plant back to there, and used about 500 pounds of chicken feed to bring the enzymes back to a healthy population. But we just have to chase it. It's not the first time, but this was the worst that we've ever had. And like I said, we probably receive a visit from TCQ, maybe even a letter stating that we violated. Our E. coli was supposed to be 2. We were at 100,000. So, but we came down the next day to 1,000 and the next day into 500. We can't exceed 500, so we were back down to 500 in another day. So we're back in compliance now.
Thank you.
Thank you for your diligence.
Frank, do you have anything you would like to report tonight?
Mayor and council, Golden Chicks moving forward. Sure everybody's probably seen, they've got the siding on and got the decking on the roof, but they're getting ready to put the facade up. Driscoll Hill had turned in the preliminary drawings. We've gotten the input back from engineering, and they're going to be making modifications before they submit. But despite what Mr. Murphy was here earlier, believes that farmland right across the road from him is going to be developed here in the next 6 to 8 months. So, and that's primary. Well, it's paramount for us to get that water line in and get it moved, get that water in there, because the 6-inch that he's just talking about will not provide enough flow or volume to be able to take care of that development. So it's exciting though. I mean, it's nice. It's 140 lots, give or take, and it's some different builders. We haven't confirmed the builders yet, but these are going to be custom homes. They're looking good. I will be polling council for a feeling here in a couple of days about doing the same thing we did last March, and that's to move the council meeting to the first week for staff and council, or council and staff to take advantage of spring break with their families. So
That's for the month
month of March. So I'll shoot that out to y'all, and then if that's something y'all have a good feeling about, then start informing everyone and take formal action in the February meeting. But that way we're notifying ahead of time.
And I put it in the newsletter too.
Let me get the feeling from council first.
Well,
Yes, ma'am. But I
But it
appreciate
would
that.
be
That'd
in
be
time
great.
to go in the
Yes, ma'am.
February newsletter, so everybody would be notified.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that's wonderful.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Kelly, do you have anything to say? No. Do you have any closing comments? No? Councilman Cooper? I cannot believe that Billy is speechless, so I have no closing comments either. So I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
If I quit talking, you will?
Whoa. Only on special occasions. Do I have a motion that we adjourn? We have a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
And a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. We are adjourned at 9:36. Thank you very much, everyone.